Will the House in this divided campaign season fall to the GOP? If so, what will Republicans do in power? This week, Republican leaders in the House unveiled their Pledge to America, a campaign manifesto that is the 2010 version of the GOP's contract with America from 1994. The highlights: extend the Bush tax cuts, cut spending, and repeal health care reform.
Our pledge to America is that the Republicans stand ready to get it done, and beginning today.
But the question is, are these new ideas or more of the same? Here to debate that question, among others, one of the architects of the Republican pledge, the chairman of the House Republican Conference, Representative Mike Pence of Indiana. He's here in New York. And the man responsible for electing Democrats to the House this fall, the chairman of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, Representative Chris Van Hollen of Maryland. Welcome, both of you, to Meet the Press. We're here in New York. Congressman Pence, good to have you here with me on our breezy set here this morning. We'll be able to get through that. I want to get to the pledge and its contents and this whole debate about whether these are new ideas or not in just a moment. But Congressman Van Hollen and Congressman Pence, I want to start on the narrow issue of tax cuts and the big tax cut debate that is part of this midterm campaign. We know, Congressman Van Hollen, that the Senate has kicked off the decision, kicked it back, I should say, to after the elections to take on whether or not the Bush tax cut should be extended. What will the House do on this important question?
Well, David, the House will vote before these tax cuts expire at the end of the year. Whether we vote before the election or not is something we'll take a look at. But I want to be very clear as to what the stakes are here, because what the Republicans have said is that they're going to hold tax relief for 98% of the American people hostage until they can get permanent tax breaks for the top 2%. Even though that would blow a $700 billion hole in the deficit, something that would be added to the credit cards of our children and grandchildren, and slow down economic growth and jobs going forward.
But what about the timing? Because you say it's probably not till after the election. I've talked to economists, read their words this week, who say the longer you wait, the more uncertainty. Why not put it to a vote before the midterms?
Well, we are absolutely going to get this done before the end of the year. We may well take it up before the midterms, but as you've heard from Mitch McConnell, the Senate Republican leader, they are insisting on holding the tax cuts for most of the American people hostage until they get these breaks for the very top. And we don't think that we should be adding $700 billion to our deficit. That's fiscally reckless. At a time that we need to be imposing some fiscal discipline, we should not be adding red ink that's going to have to be picked up by others and put us more in hock to China and other countries. That just does not make sense.
You can take on the substance of that, but first answer this question about the timing, because this is where the news is. Should the House take this up before the midterm vote?
David, there is no question that there should be no higher priority for the Congress of the United States today than making sure that no American sees a tax increase in January of 2011, not one. I have to tell you, this, for all the world, it seems like a moment where Congress is putting politics ahead of prosperity. What they're proposing here, even if they found some way to just extend middle class tax relief, would be an enormous tax increase in January on job creators in this country. Higher taxes won't get people hired. Raising taxes on job creators won't create jobs, and the American people know that. But let me say one last thing. I think it would be unconscionable for this Congress to adjourn without giving the bipartisan majority in the Congress that wants to extend all current tax relief an up or down vote.
All right, but let me